back to StarrSoap's channel. How are you today? I'm doing good. Today I'm going to be making bath bombs. That's right, I'm going to be making these bath bombs. The porridge or oatmeal milk and honey and the lavender bath bombs. And they are gorgeous. Chuck them around. They're nice and solid. Oh, they smell so good. They fizz really slow and like foam and make the bath water so soft and silky, and they smell really good and I love them. So come along with me and I'll show you how to make them. Squee! Now, before we get started, if you want this recipe or a base recipe that you can work from and tweak, then please check the description box below. There will be a link to another bath bomb video that I've made where the recipe is included in the description box. It just saves me having to type it out again. So you guys can just click on that link and go and check that out and get the recipe. And like I say, it's a good base recipe. You can play with it, you can add things, you can take some little things away, but mostly you don't take anything away because it's the base that you build on, right? Get what I'm saying? You feel me? You smell me? Alright, well, without further ado, let's go and make some bath bombs. Squee! Okay, so first things first, we're going to sieve our powders. The first powder that's going in is baking soda. I got baking soda, and that's the biggest ingredient, the main ingredient of our whole recipe. And I've actually got a different sieve here, and it's much finer. It's a much finer sieve than I'm used to using, so I'm finding it a little bit difficult to sieve. Normally it just slides right through, but because this is a much finer mesh, that's a bit different, but it's alright. So baking soda and citric acid. This is citric acid going in now. A lot of people who make bath bombs have actually told me to leave the citric acid and not to add it till the very last thing. So that might be something you want to try if you're making bath bombs, because it's the combination of the citric acid and the baking soda together that creates the reaction that we're looking for, the fizzing in the bath bomb. So yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just adding my citric acid into my baking soda because it's the way I've always done it. But a lot of people do recommend adding your citric acid last, so that's a little tip for you if you want to do that. So my citric acid is a thicker granule and it just wouldn't go through the sieve, so I just had to break up the clumps. This is SLSA, or sodium lauryl sulfur acetate. It is a surfactant and it's used in large quantities in my bubble bar recipe, but here I'm just using a little bit of it. The idea here is not to make a bubbly bath, but to make a foaming bath bomb, and something that will emulsify all of the oils and beautiful butters and anything like that you're going to add into your bath water, so that you don't have an oil slick on the top of the water. Instead you have quite softened and almost creamy bath water. It's really glorious. I love it. It's not the only emulsifier that's going in. I'm also adding some polysorbate, but that's going in a liquid form. It's polysorbate 60, and I'll be putting that in a little bit later. So now I've put in colloidal oatmeal and I'm just adding Epsom salts here. So that is baking soda, citric acid, SLSA, colloidal oatmeal, and finally Epsom salts that you're seeing in the bowl here that I'm mixing all together. Once those powders are all mixed together, I add my fragrance. Today I'm making oatmeal milk and honey bath bombs, or porridge bath bombs as I call them. So my fragrance is cinnamon vanilla, and I'll be topping that up with a little bit of my oatmeal milk and honey fragrance as well. The oatmeal milk and honey fragrance has a strong almond top note, and I'm not really keen to make anything that smells like marzipan. I'm trying to go for a nice creamy bowl of porridge scent, so that's why I go for more cinnamon vanilla and only a little bit of my oatmeal milk and honey. So now I'm just working that fragrance oil through the powders, and I always do it this way because I want to make sure that the fragrance is completely binded to all the powders, I guess you might say, and that's gone in before I've added any other liquids, so that I'm not going to be adding too many liquids. You know, you can put them in but you can't take them away. So anything that has to go in goes in first, Now I'm putting in a little bit of sweet almond oil, about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of sweet almond oil at a time, and the same goes with the polysorbate. So for every 2 tablespoons of sweet almond oil, I put in a couple of pumps, which makes, you know, about half a tablespoon of the polysorbate. And then I can blend it, and then I can add a little more as I need until I've reached that desired consistency, which is like damp sand. If you know what I mean, when you're playing at the beach and you've got right at the top of the beach that really dry sand, we're not looking for that, and right down by the waterline that really hard, really wet sand, we don't want that. We want something in between, something that when you press it together with your hands, it holds, but it also is sort of dusty and flaky. The consistency here is really the key with making bath bombs, and unfortunately through video and even through talking to you, it's not something I can really show you. It's something that I best advise you to try and play with yourself. You know, you will possibly make a batch that's a bit damp, and you might make a batch that's a bit dry and they don't hold together when you try to form them, but this is how you'll learn, and that's how I learned. Honestly, you learn so much more through just making a few mistakes, so I really think that that's key. I get a hard time sometimes about saying that. People want exact measurements, they want a recipe that they know is foolproof, and I understand that, but I'm not selling you my recipe here. I'm showing you a technique and I'm explaining a method. So I really want you to go away and I want you to try it for yourself, and then yes, if you make some mistakes, you're going to learn so much. What you learn is priceless, so I really can't stress that enough. Now we're at that time where we can mold our bath bombs. So I have my bath bomb molds, and I have placed 2 or 3 little oats, whole oats in the bottom, and they're just there as like a little decoration, and also for me later when I come to package and label, I can easily see, oh, those have oats, they're oatmeal milk and honey, and these ones have lavender buds, they must be lavender, and these ones have rock salt, that must be my citrus rock salt bath bomb, so on and so on, right? So I load up the bath bomb mold with more mix than I think I'll need, and press down and then brush off any that comes out around the seam. And I do get a seam on my bath bomb, but I don't mind. So you can see how pretty those little oats look on the top as well. They look really nice. So before I try to take off the mold, I give it a good tap with my spoon. That seems to help to release the airlock, and then I can carefully and easily pull the mold off, and voila, we have a beautiful round bath bomb. Now lately, a lot of people that I know have been making bath bombs in different shapes. I've seen some really creative things, and as you may have seen, if not, I'll leave a link below and you can check it out. I've even done bath bombs in different shapes as well, namely the mooncake press. That's one of my favourites. But these round bath bombs, and done with this recipe that I'm following today, they really behaved beautifully. And I do think that to make some brightly coloured embeds and then make some bath bombs like this would be a great idea, because they float and they spin. The shape allows them to really dance as they dissolve throughout your bath, and you get a really nice visual display. And I just think that's really pretty. So because these ones were uncoloured, I actually made these bath bombs for a hairdresser friend of mine who has children that had a little bit of eczema and dry skin issues. So I didn't want to add colorant. I wanted to keep them really simple, and that's why they're packed with colloidal oatmeal as well, because that stuff is so good for dry and irritated skin. But when I'm making future bath bombs, I'm thinking that little brightly coloured embeds coming out would look so cool. As the bath bomb spins and dances around, the colours will come out and it will just look really, really groovy. So I'm going to have to give that a go. So anyhow, now I have made a couple. I noticed that my mix is a little bit clumpy, and I just want to stir it and loosen it again, because that's going to make the best bath bomb. If it's starting to clump together in the bowl and then you try to form it into your mold, you might hit some problems. So just keep that in mind. Keep moving your mixture around, keep squeezing it. If it gets a bit dry, you can always add a little dash of witch hazel. I often do that as well at the end. That's often the final thing I do. I'll spritz the powders with some witch hazel, and that will just help them for that final stage of getting to that damp sand consistency. Some people really don't like the witch hazel spritzing. If you don't mix while you spritz, then you will find that the powders can start to activate and do what you don't want them to do. So you must always mix while you spritz. So now we're on to the second batch of bath bombs for today, and I'm also making these with that lovely hairdresser friend of mine in mind. She wanted something for herself and something for her kids, so the oatmeal milk and honey are for her kids, and these ones, the lavender, and they're French lavender, are going to be for her. And they're also going to be uncoloured, but rather than having colloidal oatmeal added, I'm going to add some kaolin clay into here. My kaolin clay is almost white, it's slightly off-white, so you don't really see it, it's just gone in now. And it's sort of like the colloidal oatmeal in that it makes that bath water extra luxurious. So it's another lovely ingredient. Other ingredients you might like to add that are similar are calamine powder. And I've made a bath bomb in the past, a rose bath bomb with pink calamine powder in, and that was lovely. And bentonite clay if you had some. Milk powder is really beautiful additive. If you put milk powder in, then you can make like a Cleopatra style bath bomb and soak in milk. That sounds pretty glorious. So yes, but always make sure you mention on your label exactly what you have put into your bath bombs, because you might have a customer who is a vegan or a vegetarian that doesn't want the milk powder, or you might have a customer that has an allergy, and you want to make sure they know everything that's in the bath bomb. That way you know, don't risk any problems. And that's one of these things with skincare in general. When you're making soaps and things like that, you want to make people's skin feel wonderful. You don't want to irritate it. So always be really thorough with your labeling and make sure people know exactly what you're putting in your bath bombs. So I want to take a moment just as I go ahead now and spritz the witch hazel for the final stage here and get this beautiful consistency here to talk about making sand castles, because honestly that's what I liken this to. It reminds me of that perfect kind of sand that you would look for at the beach to press into your bucket and make a sand castle. Okay guys, so do that. If you're making bath bombs and you're struggling to get the consistency that you want, really try to channel your inner child and your inner childhood, and remember making sand castles. And that's basically what we're doing. We're just making grown-up sandcastles. Bath bombs are not so popular where I live in the summertime, but they are very popular right now in the winter when it's cold. So that's why I'm making some. The other thing about bath bombs, and this is just something I have personally noted, is they really only have a shelf life of about 3 months. Where I can make a soap and I know it will still be beautiful and good for sale in 5-6 months time, or a year's time even. I don't feel that is the case with bath bombs. So if you're making bath bombs, make sure you're making them in season for when they're going to sell for you, or make them for yourself, obviously. I've decided that any of these bath bombs that don't sell, I will quite happily use myself. And I've really sort of beared that in mind while I was packaging these bath bombs as well. I tried not to use too much of my expensive packaging. That way, if I do end up using them, then I don't feel like I'm wasting things for my business. So I hope that helps you. What I did for these is I wrapped them in cling film, or glad wrap as we call it here in New Zealand, and then taped that off and put them in an organza bag with a little card that told you what you got, told you what flavour bath bomb it was and exactly what was inside that bath bomb. So this way, if I decide to use them myself, I'm only throwing away a little bit of card and a little bit of glad wrap, and I'm keeping the organza bag to reuse, so it's perfect. Whereas in the past, you've seen me, if you've watched my other bath bomb videos, you'll know, and I'll leave actually a link below to a whole playlist of all of those bath bomb videos, but you'll see that I quite often wrap them in cellophane with a ribbon, and then use a sticker or something like that. And they look really pretty that way. So I'll usually do that if I've got a big market coming up. So here we have the final lavender bath bombs. I really love how these turned out. Just a few lavender buds in the top and just a lovely plain white bath bomb. They set rock hard. I left them to cure in my hot water cupboard because we are in winter and it is a little bit sort of iffy about the humidity here at the moment. So they sat in the hot water cupboard overnight and they were wrapped the following day. Here they are in those little organza bags with that little bit of paper that tells you exactly what you got. And here we have my citrus bath bombs that I made the following day, but I didn't film the making of these. And here we have the black raspberry and vanilla. These colorants that you see are lake dyes, and they are, in my opinion, the best way to colour bath bomb. Don't use mica, but use lake dyes. I really can't stress that enough. The lake dye colours the water brilliantly, not your bathtub or you, and it doesn't leave a colouring. It just all goes straight down the plug and it's safe. So yeah, lake dyes all the way. So you can see here, oatmeal milk and honey, lavender, black raspberry, vanilla, and energize. These were the batches I made, and I got between 5 and 6 bath bombs per batch. This week I'd like to highlight Susan Blacksell and her beautiful bath bomb cupcakes that she made and shared in our group over on Facebook called StarrSoapy Family. I just think they're gorgeous, so if you would like your photo highlighted, then please come and join. And if you're not already and you want to be, hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for when we upload new videos, and join the StarrSoapy family. Bye! So